Hey guys, this is Mrs. Salsetta. I'm here to tell you how to complete your work for garden class if you missed October 20th. So you would go to the dated assignment 10/20, October 20th. It says today we will watch a short clip about fertilizer, then share out. We'll read about how to transplant plants, and I will explain some plants that should be transplanted instead of direct sow. You will create a drawing of how to protect your transplants using AutoDraw, the links attached, and then write a summary explaining tips for transplanting. So the first thing that we did, I know there's quite a few links on here. The first thing you need to do is watch the video about what fertilizer is. It's very short. It's only 1 minute. It's just quick and to the point about what fertilizers are and some different types of fertilizers. After you learn about what fertilizers are, you can go ahead and read about transplanting. It's only 1-page reading, and it tells you how to transplant new plants. There's also a video of me reading how to transplant. And we also went over a slideshow, so I'll go over that slideshow with you. So I went over this PowerPoint with the class, direct sow versus transplant. So when you directly sow seeds, that means that you're directly putting seeds into the soil, versus transplanting where the plant has already been growing in either a separate garden bed or it's growing in a pot, and then you're going to take that already growing plant and put it into a new garden. So direct sow, we're taking our seeds, directly putting them into the soil. Transplant, we're taking a plant that's already grown and we're moving it to a new garden. And you could do this for different reasons. So when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you'll buy a plant that's already in a pot that's already grown sometimes, and you can take that plant and transplant it into your garden. Other things, like in my garden, I have a really large oregano plant, and it gets so big it takes up the whole garden. So every once in a while, I'll cut it in half and I'll transplant it to another garden, or I'll transplant it to somebody else's garden because it's just taking up too much space. So you also transplant trees pretty often. When you buy a tree at a store like Home Depot or a nursery, you can get the tree, and then you're going to have to transplant it into your yard wherever you'd like it. So we're going to talk about the steps to transplanting. Sometimes you'll see your plants coming in a peat moss pot, which when you transplant, you put that pot directly into the ground. Otherwise, you might see plastic pots, which you're going to have to take the plant out of. But when we're transplanting, you want to ensure that the plants have had an opportunity to dry out in their pots, mostly dry. You don't want it to be soaking wet. They should have established root system. If you see that picture, you can see there's established roots. And if you're moving the plant from inside to outside, then you want to give it time to acclimate to the weather. So let it sit outside in its pot for a while before you transplant it into your garden bed. You want to look at the weather. There should be no risk of frost, or at least a low risk of frost, depending on what type of plant you're using. And ideally, it should be a cloudy day. And if it's not a cloudy day, then make it as early in the day as possible before the heat of the sun starts. You need to prepare the soil. It should be weed-free and loose. You could till it. It should be mostly dry, but not completely dry, but you don't want it to be soaking wet. You have to dig the holes for your new transplant, and then you want to fill that hole with maybe some fertilizer, such as manure or some organic material like compost, or even some potting soil or starting soil. And then you need to plant them in the garden. You're going to gently ease the seedling out of the tray, so you hold it upside down like that picture. If you have a ton of roots, then you're going to have to loosen it up with your fingers, and then you're going to put it in the hole and gently pack the soil around it. Once it's in the ground, you don't want to blast it with a hose. You want to gently water it, and then fertilize the garden as you would do normally. And that's about it. So once you have you've read the transplanting PDF or listened to me read it, then you go here to AutoDraw, And you're going to write yourself a little summary about the steps to transplanting, um, and then draw me a little picture, okay? So I put clouds as it's a cloudy day. I show you how to protect your plants if it's cold. And so you have a lot of freedom with this, so be creative and take your time. And if you want to see other students' examples, if you click on view the assignment, your classmates have put some links on of their own so that you can take a look at their drawings and get some motivation or ideas for your own drawing. If you have any questions, make sure you comment, please.